Hey there friends, Foster the Canadian here, and today I'm going to talk about something a little more, I guess, I don't want to say dramatic, and I guess it kind of is, but I don't like making dramatic videos. I hate it, in fact. But it's something that has been going on for a few months now behind the scenes that I want to get off my chest because it's something that I've never talked to you guys about, even on my main channel. And I've told you guys that my mom raised me. I never had a dad growing up, I guess, but I did have a dad for I don't even like using that word for him, but for the first 10 years of my life, maybe. I think 9 was when they first separated, and the dude was a dick. So he was one of those guys who, my mom was actually very sick when I was a kid, and we lived on Vancouver Island, or an island by Vancouver Island, and she had to go to Vancouver to go to the hospital once, and she was gone for a couple of weeks, and she tells me it was like a week, but for me it felt like she was gone for months, because the entire time she was gone, this guy, again, I don't want to use the word dad, even though that's what I called him back then. This guy didn't cook us, me and my sister, any meals the entire time. Occasionally he would take us to a pub where he would go get drunk and we would eat nachos, and that was like the best meal that we had the entire time because it was like actually cooked. And I'm 9, no, at that point I was 8 years old, and my sister was like, she was like, I don't know, a foot tall. She was a teeny tiny person, and I had to do a lot of like the food, I guess, at 8. And for me, food at 8 was like, okay, I've got bread, I'm gonna put a bunch of cheese on it, and then chips, and it actually tasted pretty good. But I remember one lunch he packed us a bag of apples. That was our lunch. We each got a bag of apples for school because we always had packed lunches for school. We didn't sign up for the meals program or whatever because, I liked packed lunches. My mom made great sandwiches. I always had good food to go to school with, except this week where I got a bag of apples for lunch, and, that sucked. And the reason I'm talking about this right now is I had broke communication with him for the past decade. I haven't talked to him, and it was on my own terms. I was very proud of this because, I was separating myself from him and his dickness, I guess. And one thing that really sucked is we didn't have a whole lot of money growing up because he never paid child support. He always found like weird loopholes so that we didn't get clothes for school or lunches. And, my mom, she's very sick, but she worked her ass off just so that we would have, a decent upbringing, and we did. And above everything, when he left the picture, we were happy. But a few months ago, he contacted me over my Facebook fan page. And it was a shock for me. That's why I haven't updated my Facebook fan page in quite some time, because it was like YouTube was my safe haven. YouTube was something that I had created, that I lived in, and this content that I had was something that was very special to me, and it was something that he never had any part in. And then I got a message from him. I deleted him, I blocked him, didn't respond. A week later, I got another message from him, this time very angry. I think I just got a message from someone, hopefully it's not him. Jump cut. Okay, I actually got really nervous because I forgot to sign out of Facebook, and the reason I'm doing this vlog now is because I just got another message from him about how he is angry that I haven't contacted him in a decade, basically. I don't think it's been, like, I've seen him a few times within then, but the decade, 10 years ago is basically where I was like, okay, it ends here, I'm going to do everything I can to avoid him. He sent me a message, just, a few minutes ago, I guess, that he was upset with that, and that he claims it's his right to come meet with me. And, my hand's starting to shake a little bit because I'm angry. He's not someone that I like. He's someone that my entire childhood is someone that I wanted a dad that, would take me to the movies or play sports with me, but he just got drunk. He went out and spent most of the spare money that we had, because we were actually living pretty good for a little while, where, we were living, I guess, upper middle class. We weren't rich, but we were like mid to upper middle class. And instead of, getting toys or something cool like that when I'm a kid, that's what I'm thinking. Like, in my head, I'm like, oh, PlayStation. But instead of that, he'd go and he'd party with his friends. He'd spend, a ton of money on these extravagant parties where he'd buy all the booze for everyone and throw, like, these outdoor, I guess, keggers or whatever. And as a kid, I'm just sitting there like, well, everyone's partying. I can't even hear my game. And, this is money that I feel like should go to the family to upgrade our living. But, again, I had no say in it. And my mom was very angry with him for all that. So there was that tension there. And then it kind of capped when I was... this is why they separated. When I was 10 years old, my sister had a friend named Elliot. And, she was very good friends with him. She was best friends with him. And by he, I'm trying to avoid saying the word dad again. He had a thing with Elliot, my sister's best friend's mom. So he had a thing with her, and, me and my sister were like, hey, we've noticed this stuff is going on, Mom. Did you know that this was going on? And she didn't know what was going on. And my sister always felt kind of, I don't want to say guilty, because, it was her best friend, but she did feel like this guilt because of it. And it's something that was really unfair for, a little kid to feel like her best friend, because she's best friends with someone, that the family sort of broke apart and separated. But that's how it went. And I think after that, my mom decided to take him back. That lasted like maybe a few months before my sister noticed that he was on the computer a lot, and she saw a website that he was on, and she only remembered like the first couple letters. And I was well versed in computers at a young age, so I went on the computer, I went through his history. I knew how to turn on... Actually, I didn't even turn on passwords. Like, there's easy ways to figure out what passwords are saved in the computer and what have been typed in. I went to the website, and his username was already in the bar, and the password he used was my sister's name, because it was 8 characters, and that's what they always use to remember. I should log out of Facebook. Not sure if you could hear that. So that's what they always use to remember. And he was seeing countless women on this website, and like sending them horrible messages that someone my age and someone my sister's age never should have read, never should have been exposed to, especially from someone that, at that time, again, I still referred to as Dad. So I went to show my mom, who, had just taken him back, these letters. And first, like, being the dumbass kid I was, I showed it to him first, and I was like, I'm gonna show Mom. And he was, like, literally, physically trying to restrain me, and I'm, like, 12 years old. And at that point, I was, I believe, playing hockey still, so I was, like, pretty tough, pretty fast. I was able to easily break away from him. He wasn't, like, a strong dude, thankfully. And my mom always said that one of the upsides about being with him was that she always felt that she could kick his ass if she needed to, which I always thought was funny, but it turned out that that actually needed to happen. So I showed my mom. They got separated again, this time for good, cut off communications, and now to see him trying to invade my world of YouTube, it hurts. It's my stomach sank when I saw his name, And it's something that's very difficult for me to approach right now. And that's why I'm making this video, because you guys have been my support for the past 2 years, over 2 years. You guys have been there for me, and I want to explain to you why, for one, that there's not videos up or updates on my Facebook page, and two, why, you know, what's been going on in my life. Because I share with you guys a lot of my life, and this is a big part of it right now, sadly. And, yeah. And I'm going to share one moment with you that is kind of funny. It's my favorite moment in the history of me and him. He came to visit for a little while because it was, I think it was Father's Day, actually. He came over, he was drunk, he got drunk very quickly. This is like, 1 p.m. and he's already drunk. And I got mad at him because he was, like, talking smack to my mom. He was, calling her names and stuff. I'm 13 at this point. I believe 13. And he, I told him to stop, and he was like, he made a remark about me, and at that point I shoved him, and we got in an actual, like, fight. And this isn't something strange, I tried to fight him before, and he'd put me in a headlock, or, attempt to rip my ear off, or pin me to the ground. This time things changed. I was stronger. I had played hockey for a little while now, and this time I was able to turn him around, and I was able to put him in a headlock, and I was able to pin him to the ground, and it was a moment where I realized that he has no control over me now. He's no longer part of our lives. He's not someone I need to take orders from anymore, and he's not someone that can, physically restrain me, and I can physically restrain him. This time I'm in charge, and it was something that was a big moment in my life, because that was the moment where it was like, I can now, I guess control my life. He has zero control over my life. He is now out, and, it was like, that moment was the moment I went, alright, this, for sure, I'm going to avoid communication with him forever. And I don't know how he found my YouTube channel. Well, I know how he found my YouTube channel and Facebook page, because I was dumb enough to use my name. But, Foster the Canadian. I should have come up with some weird name, but I chose Foster the Canadian. It's who I am, and it's something that I like. I like being Foster the Canadian, and, I guess it came with risk. But because of that, he found me on Facebook. He's been sending me messages, and I don't want to tell my sister, because I remember he came over for Halloween, like, unexpectedly. We were all getting ready to go trick-or-treating. I was, like, 14 or 15. My sister, I didn't really care too much about Halloween, but my sister was still at an age where she loved it. That was free candy day. So, we went to trick-or-treat, and, he was, like, yelling at my mom at the time, because he wanted to be included in this, even though, again, I believe he was intoxicated at the time, as he normally was. And, I was like, screw this, I'm old enough to take my sister around the neighborhood, just around the neighborhood. So, me and my sister, this was at the point, the best Halloween she had ever had. She was going around all these houses with her big brother, and we were getting stacks of candy. And then he drives around looking for us. He found us, and he started yelling at us because he didn't think that we should have been, leaving trick-or-treating without him. He starts yelling with us, and he tells us to get in the car, and I'm like, no, we can walk home. We can do this. We can walk home. We can just walk away from him. But she jumped in the car, and I'm like, come on. All right, fine. I had to get into, drove home, and my sister was so upset at the moment that she vomited. She just started throwing up everywhere. I probably got to get back to that. I think PJ's messaging me right now, but, that's basically what's going on. I didn't mean to turn this into, like, a really long vlog. I'll probably edit it down a bit, but I just wanted to let you guys know what's going on. Until next time, this is Foster the Canadian. Outrotation! Okay, there we go. See ya.